everyone, this is Lockeneye, and welcome back to another video on the Great Builds YouTube channel. Now, if you've noticed, I haven't really posted a lot lately, and that's because I have a lot of things I want to cover during the month of December as a bunch of different Christmas special videos, where each video will talk about the upgrades to the city, as well as adding decorations to the city that will then appear every year at this time of year. So, let's get started with today's video. Today we're going to be talking about some of the buildings in the city, which, as you can clearly see, they've gotten way bigger. So let's get right into how I did it and take a look at the details of each one along with the decorations I've added to the city. Starting over here, we're going to start with the Noodle Shop. This was a Creator 3-in-1 set, and I bought multiple copies of it to fill in multiple spots in the city originally as place fillers, but over time grew to love this design and chose to keep it. So today, I'm showing off the fact that I've added a third story to this building. And what I've done for most of these at a basic level is looked at the instructions for the second story and then basically built the exact same thing on top of it. Now for this building it was interesting because I had to source more like nougat pieces, which are what LEGO uses for the minifigure skin tone. And very few sets, especially ones that are cheap to get, have these pieces. So what I decided to do is I just changed out the colors of two of my alternate build models of the Noodle Shop in the city we'll take a look at in a minute, and basically just use those colors here. Additionally, you can see that I modified this area so it doesn't have the blue awning like the second story does, but instead just has a flat wall. And of course, for this building, I've added some Christmas lights using the Spider-Man rope pieces in black here, but also adding different clips in white and light bluish gray to add some red and green lights to it to show some holiday spirit on these buildings. I've just connected them onto the roof in the upper section of the awnings there, and of course, you can see that I've also detailed all the flower boxes. Originally, that I was planning on just leaving those blank and just leaving them plain walls here, but I felt like adding an extra flower box and some more detail would look good. And I think I was right because it turned out pretty awesome. Now let's take a look at some of the other buildings in the city that I've upgraded and some of the other decorations I've added to the city. So here is the repair shop. This originally was the B build of the Creator 3-in-1 Noodle Shop set that I bought 4 copies of and decided to mirror 2 of the alternate builds to make a double-sized or 2 separate different repair shops, one for traditional bikes and one that would repair hover scooters and more sci-fi vehicles that I plan to add to the city in the future. Additionally, there is one strand of Christmas lights going across the 2 buildings, and it's placed inside the flower boxes of the third story. And for this building, as I mentioned before, I had to remove all of the light nougat to be able to create the third story of the Noodle Shops. So what I've done here is I've just went for a white color and left in some of the yellowed pieces that I have, because if you didn't know, LEGO pieces change color over time when they're exposed to the elements and the air, and you get different colorations, and I felt like that would look pretty cool for some of the bricks in this building here. So I've kept those textures in. You can technically fix this in some cases if you catch it early enough by washing the bricks, but I wanted to use some texturing detail, and here's the second building we'll be taking a look at that I did some work on to upgrade the city and decorate for the holidays. This is the second build of the Creator 3-in-1 Noodle Shop that I've built 2 of and then mirrored the image of the build so that the doors face the correct ways and the building just has a mirrored effect. I also made sure to keep the 2 bottom sections separate, and these are modular just like all the other buildings in this section of the city, so you can just move them around wherever you want them. However, this is best designed to work here. The 2 bottom stores I didn't really talk about when I originally placed them, but I wanted one to be a bike shop and the other to be a shop that worked on more sci-fi vehicles, which I would like to add some more like hover bikes or smaller hover cars and stuff like that, just to add some more fun, like, fantasy elements to my world here. And of course, I did the same thing that I did with the Noodle Shop, which is I just added an extra story based off the instructions for the second story, but with some slight modifications. These modifications include the flower boxes, which have now been changed because there's no sign being connected beneath the flower boxes on the 3rd floor. So I just changed them to be a little bit more plain white detailing with some sloped pieces. And of course I hung some Christmas lights on this building as well, so that way it's ready for the season. But additionally, I made sure to cover up where the door would be on the side using a variety of different textured white pieces, using some pieces that were older, if you didn't know, over time, older LEGO pieces will kind of change to a more yellowed color, and this does add for some more texturing in your builds if you wanted to try using that. Additionally, since there is no door here, it's just a plain wall, but you still have access technically to this floor via ladders that are on the inside of the building, and you can still access the roof. Now, I did want to make this building out of the light nougat as well, but I couldn't do that because I needed the light nougat for the noodle shops over here, so I switched the colors out for white, and I think it looks okay. So now let's move on to the final build of the set and talk about some extra Christmas decoration plans I have for the future of this month. So here's the third building that I worked on, and this was the Creator 3-in-1 Corner Shop Deli, which was another one of these little mini scale modulars that you could buy for pretty cheap. But what I did here was I did something different. Instead of just rebuilding the second story again, I'd split the building in two halves based on the half of the building, and went completely custom on one half and just rebuilt the same part twice on the other one. This gives this building a total of 4 stories on one section and 3 in the other. And of course, I had actually had to back this one with white bricks, so you can't really see through the back, because you would just see the skyscraper and the little courtyard beside the skyscraper there, which would just not look good. Plus, I made sure to leave room for some future projects that I wanted to do in the city, and this is still modular just like the previous builds. However, on the lower side of these, I decided to go for a completely custom design where I basically took half of the build, the half that has the window and the flower box, and basically doubled it up next to each other to create a neat-looking third story or second apartment level on this side of the building. And I added some Christmas lights up top just to add some more detail into the LEGO City that I thought would be pretty good for the season. Now, I also added one more thing to this LEGO City, and that has to do with this section right here on the train station. Now, the train station is going to go through a lot this month because I have a lot of things I want to do to change around the train systems and the trains in general. And, of course, I had to add some Christmas lights spanning across here. The only difference here is I used a white Spider-Man web sort of piece instead of the black ones because I ran out of the black ones. So, just working with what you have. That's a good way to save money when you're building a LEGO City. And that's what this whole LEGO City is about. It may be a big city, but it's also teaching you ways to save money when you're building your own small displays that you would want to work on. So, let's talk about the future of the Christmas episodes next.